Scott Schilling, also known as the Authentic Connector, is also an international speaker and trainer, media host, executive coach, and consultant who brings a unique combination of 35 plus years of life experience in coaching, sales, marketing, and training to corporations, business owners, and entrepreneurs. He has presented at 3,000 live events. That's a lot. Sharing the stage with General Colin Powell, Susie Orman, Jack Canfield, Les Brown, Stephen Forbes, Tom Hopkins, and many more. Wouldn't that be great? Wasn't that a goal for all of us to be sharing those stages? And as an internationally accomplished and entertaining presenter, Scott has spoken to hundreds of thousands of attendees across a range of industries. Scott brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the airwaves, stages, boardrooms, podiums, and print. He's a highly sought after executive coach. And one of the things he's done is he helped a company grow from 8 million annually to almost 100 million in under 6 years. Scott is the person to know at the Grand Connection. Of course, all of us, we want to know, but you definitely need to meet Scott. And I'm so excited he's here for you to get to know him. Scott, I'm passing the stage to you. And thank you for your generosity in helping us today.
Oh, thank you, Susan. It's almost like I wrote that. That sounded pretty good. I mean, that was pretty awesome. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm going to share some slides as well. And the blessing of doing 3,000 live events, I've literally shared the stage with every name you know. You may or may not know mine. That's cool. That wasn't my task at the time. But you get to meet some pretty cool people along the way. And you know what you find about the really cool people is what they want to do is share what they've learned along the way with you. And so that's my greatest joy, quite frankly. So thank you for this opportunity. Uh, we want to talk about building authentic relationships, and we're going to tie that into the great discovery as well. But we're going to do that a little bit later. We're going to take a little break in between, do some more networking, so that everybody can get to know each other along the way. Why do I take the approach that I take? Well, it's that man right there, the great Zig Ziglar. I was very blessed to know Zig, be friends with Zig, be on the road with him, still friends with Tom and Julie and Cindy, his kids. But this was a lunch that we had, and we did a hostage exchange. I signed one of my books to him. He signed his last book to me. But what was so special about that lunch is I got to ask him about a quote that was in See You at the Top, a book that I had read many years earlier. And that quote was simply, you can have everything in life you want when you help enough other people get what they want. And I said, Zig, that one quote has so set the path for my entire life and, quite frankly, my career. When did you create that? And he just kind of looked at me and smiled and he said, Scott, I didn't create that. My mama taught me that when I was 5. It was part of my christening when I was 12. I said, Zig, can I share that story? He said, I'd be honored. See, the thing that we don't realize many times is the impression that somebody leaves through these authentic relationships. We don't necessarily understand exactly what happens along the way. And each and every one of you have that capability to leave an impression upon somebody that literally can change their life for the rest of their life. I know that's why I do what I do, because I love to see the flash in somebody's eyes when something lands and all of a sudden, they got it. This is going to improve their life for the rest of their life. So basically, what's my mission? Well, I wrote this mission when I went full-time professional speaking almost 25 years ago now. My mission is multifaceted: to create a community of over 1 million people, equipping them to maximize their lives spiritually, personally, professionally, and financially. To create enough influence to cause over $100 million in charitable giving. And ultimately to positively impact 1 billion or more lives on the planet. Now, I was doing a radio show one day and somebody said, what's your mission? And I just shared what I just shared with you all. And he said, 1 billion lives, who do you think you are? And I said, well, quite frankly, I'm somebody with a desire to touch a billion or more lives positively. He goes, well, you're being kind of cavalier about it all. I said, no, that's really not that great a job. I mean, if you think about it, there are 8.5 billion people on the planet. That's only 1 out of 8. That's not that great. And he goes, well, now you're being ridiculous. You're being flip. And I said, well, wait a second. So if my mission is to positively impact a billion or more lives, and let's say I'm not very good at it, and I touch 100 million lives, would that be okay? Or I'm not, heck, I'm not good at it at all, and I touch 10 million lives. Would that be okay? Or what if I'm just flat bad at it and all I touch is 1 million lives? Would that be okay? He goes, you're serious about this, aren't you? I said, I absolutely am. See, I'm the son of an amazing maker who said, you can do whatever it is I put on your heart. This isn't my mission statement. This is a mission statement that was put on my heart so I could achieve it. And so the reality is, each and every one of you have that. Now, is it this? It doesn't have to be this. This is mine, but you have your own. And the reality is, the more that we understand our why we do what we do, the more you're going to be able to go through the down times. Hate to be a spoiler. There's going to be some down times. Doesn't matter what you do. But I think you're going to be after one or all of the four freedoms. Well, what are the four freedoms? The first one is time freedom. What is time freedom? Not being bound by the clock. You don't set an alarm. You don't have a bedtime. You go to bed when you feel like going to bed. You get up when you feel like getting up, and you do what you want to do in the time in between. That's time freedom, not being tied to a calendar. So there are many people who, man, that's their goal. Their why. They want to get time freedom. Another one is location freedom. Well, what's that? I happen to live in Dallas, Texas. I love it. Why? Well, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes by airplane virtually everywhere in North America except for New York, Boston, Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, or Calgary, right? Getting up into Canada. Location freedom is being able to be free to do what you love to do where you love to do it. For me, somebody asked me this yesterday, if you could move your office, where would it be? I said, that's easy. On a catamaran in the British Virgin Islands. He goes, you want your office on a catamaran in the British Virgin Islands? I said, yeah, I wrote one of my books down there. We were on a yacht charter. We were on this beautiful catamaran. They got internet down there too. And believe it or not, now with Skylink, whew, the internet's better than you can imagine. It's probably better there than it is in my house, quite frankly. What's the next freedom? Financial freedom. That's having the resources to truly do what you want, where you want, when you want. It's not being constricted by any financial concerns. And what's the fourth freedom? Well, the fourth freedom is inner purpose. You've got something that's calling on you. Now, December 14th was my 10-year anniversary from my near-death experience. I did a video on December 14th. I said, wow, it's 10 years ago. I lived through something that very few people live through. I'm so grateful. But it got me reflective. It got me thinking, have I really accomplished what I felt I could or should have in those last 10 years? And let me tell you my answer. No, I got a lot of work to do. Well, so there's an inner purpose going. So your freedoms and your why come probably with a combination of all of these. I want to do what I want, where I want, when I want, with whom I want. But that's my why. That doesn't have to be your why. But what you'll find is everything in all relationships revolve around trust. I mean, I can fix the divorce crisis in North America. It's trust. You date those you trust, you marry those you trust, you divorce those you don't trust any longer. Well, guess what? Business is the exact same way. It's about trust. And so, what's the anatomy of trust? Well, the first leg is to capture interest and attention. In other words, for you to even want to hear what I have to say today, we had to capture your interest and attention enough to have you attend. You had to come here first. And then we have to say some things early that you go, ah, okay, you earned another couple minutes. The second is you need to be in tune. Good Lord is on our side. Gave us 2 ears, one mouth. We're probably supposed to listen twice as much as we talk. Salespeople have a tendency of talking too much. Now, if you're asking questions, you're actually in control of the situation. So, done appropriately, it's awesome. The next is use simple language. I encourage especially speakers to speak at a fifth grade level. Why? Well, because if you try to be all authoritarian and you try to be so special with everything you say, the reality is you talk over the top of people. And here's what you get. Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Do you want to take action on what I've been presenting? Uh-uh. Why not? Well, it's just not right for us. Has nothing to do with that. It has to do with you talked over the top of their knowledge. And by doing that, they don't understand what you talked about in the first place. So therefore, they don't understand. They haven't been able to connect the dots how it serves them. But they just say it's not right for us because they will never embarrass themselves. It's not the way it works. So again, you can always go from less technical to more technical, but you can never go the other way around because you've lost them. So again, this is about being fundamental, foundational, sharing the basics. What's this talk about trust? I thought we were doing authentic relationships. Trust is the foundation of authentic relationships. The more you understand trust, the more authentic your relationships will be. The next is demonstrate your offer. Now, if you physically have something that you can put into somebody's hands, that's demonstrating it. Let them get kinesthetic, let them get tactical with it, actually feel it, or put them in the situation. Why do you think car dealerships have you go for a test drive? They want to demonstrate the experience you could have after the fact. That's called putting you in the after state. The after state is after you've made the purchase. The next is the body. It's be the authority. Know your stuff. Whatever stuff you want to be the expert at, know your stuff. Be a student of your own product. Be a student of your company. Be a student of the industry. Let me give you another secret. Shh, don't tell anybody. You gain far more respect knowing everybody else's stuff than you do knowing your own. Now, you need to know your own, but everybody expects you to know your own. They don't expect you to know everybody else's. And when you know everybody else's, now you're a pro. Well, what's the next part? It's really the heart. The heart of it all is shared views and common experiences. When Susan was talking to Alan as an example, they were talking about a common experience together in Sydney Harbor. Being able to watch people, you could see the smiles on their faces because they were sharing those views, those common experiences that they had together. That's what builds relationships. Now, if you just meet somebody for the first time, how could you share a view or common experience? Well, if you walk into their office and they got a bunch of fish mounted up on the wall, the chances are they like fishing. And if you like fishing and they like fishing, that now becomes a shared view or common experience. This is where you get to be observant in what you do. Because again, people do business with those they know, like, and trust. We'll talk more about that later. This trust part is so critical. If you can learn about people, that's why the Grand Connection is so awesome. Is these times to network together. It's not about selling one another. It's about learning enough about one another to understand how you can serve them and they can serve you. Again, mutually agreed upon, right? There's give and take in everything, in life, in business, in everything. But that's why these shared views and common experiences become so important. And then the next part is the head. You have to provide evidence of your trustworthiness. That means you show up ahead of time. If you say, I'm going to call Tuesday at 2 o'clock, you call Tuesday at 2 o'clock. If you get caught up in some way, then send a message that says, I apologize. I know we have a call scheduled at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. Something just came up. I will not be able to make it. I apologize. Can we reschedule? Is a whole lot better than showing up 10 minutes late and going, oh my goodness, I got caught up and will you forgive me? No, they spent 10 minutes feeling like you didn't care about them. And so now you've got to backtrack all that. I just had this situation. I'm at an event Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I thought my calendar was totally blocked off from calls. Some people scheduled some calls. I reached out to them, said, I just looked at my calendar. I apologize. My calendar software allowed it to get posted and show it open when it wasn't. And while I'm sorry that we won't be able to meet on those days, can I give you some other choices that will work and hopefully work for you? I will reschedule at your time frames. So again, you have to prove it. And then you invest time, interest, and knowledge in that person. And when you do that, it's amazing what happens because that's when the trust starts. Now, trust is hard to earn, but it's easily lost. And so now it becomes consistently investing that time, interest, and knowledge in somebody else. Susan and the Grand Connection does an amazing job of investing in each of the members. She asked if Scott, would you help demonstrate the great discovery? And, we've got this allotted time. I said, well, what if we do more than that? What if we do a little bit of training and then take some break and network again? And then we talk about how the great discovery plays into it so people have a greater understanding of how this can potentially help their business. She goes, that'd be great. Why did I offer it? Because she's so great. Because you're all so great. I haven't met a person at the Grand Connection that I don't want to know better, quite frankly. So that the reality is, as you build this over time, it's amazing what happens. This is how you build heart-centered relationships. I don't think this is an intellectual or tactical process. I think it's a heartfelt, relational, strategic process. So how do you go about it? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to be authentic. What does that mean? I can't be you. You can't be me. We can only be the best us that we can possibly be. Now we can learn to have more attributes. That's cool. But when you're authentic, you're congruent in actions, words, and deeds. You do the same things over and over again consistently. You become known. Your reputation precedes you in a good way. Then you take the 14-inch journey. What's the 14-inch journey? From your head to your heart. Again, not intellectual or tactical, strategic, relational, heartfelt. You got to like people. If you are in your own business, whether you're an entrepreneur or a business owner or the president of a company with thousands of employees, you better like people because people are here to stay and people do business with people. Then you have to be on purpose. My life's purpose statement is to inspire and empower others to serve humanity through living their life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. It's my purpose to help you be on purpose. So when Susan asked, Scott, would you share to our group? Well, let me run it through my filter to inspire and empower others. That's all of you. To live your life's purpose. Man, I'm your cheerleader. In spirit, closer to God than I've ever been. Love my wife, my family, my friends, more than I ever have. Joy, this brings me joy. Yes, I'm in. We all have our purpose, whatever that is for you. If I can do anything to help you find your purpose, again, you've got my email address now. You've got a lot of stuff. We're friends. Like I tell all my audiences, once I'm in your life, I'm in your life for the rest of your life. No, I'm not a stalker. Not saying it that way. I'm in your life at your choice. I'm here to be of service. Once we meet, I'm here to be of service going forward. And the last is to express your passion. You think I'm passionate about what I do? I love what I do. And you should love what you do. And if you're not doing what you love, take it from a guy who's gotten a little more mature over time. That's code word for older. Do what you love. It's going to make you a whole lot happier. There was just a study that came out that said the two greatest things that adults are looking for today are happiness and fulfillment. Well, what if your job is providing happiness and fulfillment to you as you do it? It is for me. I love doing this because all of this then becomes a word that sometimes people don't like, but I'm going to take it head on. And that word is sales. Sales by definition, Webster's definition, is the exchange of a product, good, or service for an amount of money or its equivalent. I train a lot in the holistic disciplines, and they're such heart-centered and heartfelt people that sometimes they don't like to ask for money. Well, if you don't ask for money, you don't have a business and you can't serve anybody. But I heard their concerns. And so let's use the other part of the definition. Sales is the exchange of a product, good, or service for its equivalent. It makes my heart sing. When I exchange something that satisfies one of your needs, wants, and desires, my heart feels great. Great way to reframe it, right? But I actually created my heart-centered selling definition of sales. And that's education through communication without manipulation. See, sales is really about being a teacher. Everybody loves their teachers. I'm going to teach you about the features, advantages, and benefits my products, goods, and services have to offer to satisfy your needs, wants, and desires. Selling is serving. See, I come from the Zig Ziglar school. You can have anything you want when you help enough other people get what they want. See, it's about positioning. And I know you all, many of you here are the exact same. You've got this desire to be of service to others. So let me go through some key ingredients, and hopefully these land in a really solid way. The first is WIIFT. What's in it for them? You've got to come from an others orientation. This isn't about me. Quite frankly, it's not about you. It's about them. What's in it for them? How is this going to benefit them? We've identified their problem. We're presenting a potential solution. How does that benefit them? See, this is how you create authentic relationships. I want to know how I can be of service to you. In order to be of service to you, I have to understand what's in it for you. What will satisfy you? what will benefit you. The next is people do business with those they know, like, and trust. We just talked about the anatomy of trust. Know is when you first walk up to them. You got to capture their interest and attention. Like is because you're willing to listen to them and invest in them. And trust is what everything becomes built around. It's pretty amazing. And the third one is what people don't remember all the time. And that is people take action when they're ready, not when you're ready. It's not about you. And so if let's think this through. If trust is imperative to do business together and to create authentic relationships, and they're not ready to take an action, you've got the trust built, but they're not ready. And now you try to make them take the action, you will break trust. And trust lost is harder to earn back. Now, if you've built trust with them and they're not ready, they're not buying from you or anybody, quite frankly. Well, what if you have no trust built with them, but they're ready to buy? They're going to buy from those they have trust built with. So by definition, you have to have trust built ahead of the need for that trust, which is why you create authentic relationships. You don't create relationships for today. You create relationships because what they can become later on. Susan was so kind to mention that I've done 3,000 live events. A lot of those were big stage events, 25,000 people. People say, how'd you get there? Well, it was simple. 10 years earlier, I was asked to speak at an event. They said there was going to be about 250 people there. There ended up being 750 people. They didn't have enough team to handle it. Now, it happened to be here in Dallas, where I live. When I finished speaking, I said, I'll work the back table the rest of the weekend to help you out. You need more help back there. They said, we can't pay you. I said, when did I ever ask to be paid? I said, I'm here to serve. So I worked the rest of the weekend, helped it be a very successful event. 5 years later, that same person that retained me to speak there walked into a room at the Marina Inn in Sarasota, Florida. I said, hey, Rick, how you doing? He goes, you remember me? I said, yeah, we did that event 5 years ago in Dallas. He goes, wow, great memory. He ended up buying the $4,000 product I was offering from stage that day. 5 years later, he was responsible for putting people on the big stages. And he and the president and the founder of the company wrote down a name. Who's the best speaker in the country not speaking on our platforms right now? They each wrote down a name. They folded it up. They prayed over it. They opened it up, and all three had written my name down. They called me and they said, we believe you're supposed to be speaking for us. And I said, I believe so too. I'm a 10-year overnight sensation. Now, I share that story because it's the facts. Would I have wanted to be on those stages earlier? Of course I would. But the reality is, if 10 years is what it took, when they're ready, that's what it took. So it's about being able to grow these relationships. And again, I'll share something with you in a second. Now, the other thing is what we really want is this to be respect, love, and think you hung the moon. I want to have think you hung the moon status with everybody, and that's not mooning out a car window, my Canadian friends. That is actually, I want them to think that I've got the answers, that I'm the person, the go-to intermediary. So I suggest you become an asset to everyone you meet. ASSET is a 5-letter acronym for a spontaneous servant every time. Become a spontaneous servant every time. The rest takes care of itself. But see, what we really want is that middle one, the know, like, and trust, the respect, love, and think you hung the moon. We want to be remembered. And the reason we become remembered is because we're trusted, we're authentic. And what happens with your business when you do this is hockey stick growth. My Canadian friends here will recognize this. The first is the blade, it's the tinkering stage. I've got an idea. And then the blade starts to develop. And then as I work at it and I create these authentic relationships, there's a point of inflection and it starts to go up. And then you've got surging growth for the rest of your life. Susan mentioned we took a client from 8 million to 100 million in just under 6 years. How did we do it? We spent a lot of time tinkering and building the blade. We created those relationships. We created trust. We created a reputation until there was an inflection point. And then once we took off, there was no stopping us. See, the reality is today's activity does not determine today's volume. Today's volume was determined by what you did 30, 60, 90 days ago. Today's activity determines what happens 30, 60, 90 days from now. So the reality is, if you're not doing enough business today, it's not about today. It's what you didn't do in the past. Well, guess what? That's history. It's gone. So today is a point of demarcation. This is a bonus session. And you have chosen to invest in yourself by being here for this bonus. Today's the point of demarcation. What you learn here today and what we share here today are things that will improve your life and your business going forward from this day forward. Today's volume was determined by the past. Today's activity determines your volume in the future. If you want to grow your volume, this and what you're going to learn here today is a big part of it. I'm honored to have produced this first part, and I'm going to stop the share and come back to Susan. And I think it's time to network a little bit more. Susan, what do you think?
Yeah, does anyone have any questions for Scott? I just thought give that opportunity. Oh, Ray?
I just feel so much gratitude. Thank you. I love everything you said today. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I also had a near-death experience and it completely changed everything for me. So I really related to that.
Awesome. Like I said, it does make you reflective for sure. Thank you, Bonnie, for the hearts.
Any other questions? These are all relevant to what we do here at the Grand Connection. It's so relevant, like the building trust. This last little part, it's not part of our breakout activity, but I'm thinking everybody think about what activities you could be doing right now that's going to impact you in 30, 60, 90 days. And what's the word I'm looking for? What's going to move the needle, for you? And I know that you sit there and you make a list, and there's some things that are going to really move the needle, and some things maybe you need to prioritize with too. So it's always good to do some. I do that Sunday nights. That's when I do my reflection of the week, and I reset out my new goals for the next week and write it all down. And I take all the pieces of paper all over my desk and consolidate everything too. So I can try to get organized. So thank you, Scott. I've got a breakout plan for everybody here right now, and we're going to discuss our why. So let me just share it's also what, if other people understand your why, they can connect with you and what your passion is as well. Scott, I'm going to pass the baton back to you. Thank you, everybody, for sharing, and I hope you made some great connections. Do use the chat to connect one-on-one and share your calendar links, and make sure that you book the one-on-ones now, because you'll forget. I find it's best to do it right away. Scott, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you all. And again, know that I'm available to you. You have a slide at the end. I don't hide very well. I mean, my email is scott@scottschilling.com, for goodness sakes. I mean, it's pretty easy, pretty transparent. So we're going to go into a little different section now. Again, now using the authentic relationships, and I guess I got to share my screen again. That would help. So to go ahead and again, I can tell you how much I respect this man, or have respected him, but there was another quote that also made a huge impact on me, and that is, you cannot perform in a manner inconsistent with the way you see yourself. And so you've got a self-esteem, you've got a development. I know that when I wanted to become a professional speaker full bore, once I had a number of events under my belt, all of a sudden, and then the next thing you know, you get a 5,000 person event, then you got a 10,000 person event. Do you see yourself being able to do that the first time you do it? Maybe, maybe not. And then you do 25,000. And so now 25, 250, you know, and again, it's not a, it's just you see yourself being able to deliver in front of things or not. And we're kind of in a crisis in the world right now that people have stopped talking to each other, if you've noticed it. And people do business with people. By the way, people do life with people. There are 8.5 billion people on the planet. And I'm pretty sure people have figured out how to make more people. I don't think that's stopping. But what has stopped is the communication. And so Einstein said, in the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity. So there's huge opportunity for your expertise. If even if somebody went through the exact same thing you went through it differently. And your expertise is different than their expertise. And the reality is the world needs your knowledge. And so that's why you're here in the first place, because you've got expertise that other people don't have. Now, are there other people that have your expertise? I'm certainly not the only speaker on the planet. I'm certainly not the only trainer on the planet. But I've got a different set of experience and expertise that many people have. That's what differentiates me, and that's what differentiates you. See, the question is, what do you do with your knowledge? Is it your hobby or is it a business? See, all the experiences that we have across our lives become our foundational knowledge to be able to serve other people. I lived through a near-death experience that most people don't live through the event that I lived through. Okay. Well, the fact that I did now makes me an expert on living through that. Now, I take no credit for it. That's the grace, mercy, and favor of God that pulled me through that. I take no credit, but it did give me an experience. It gave me lessons. And so I can use those lessons to be of service to others. And there's some foundational thoughts. My people perish from lack of knowledge. People don't know what they don't know these days. And my generation was the last full generation of boomer to be taught with rote memory. Rote memory is learning 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, memorizing it, putting it in your noggin, and walking around with it. Well, guess what? Every generation since has been taught where to find knowledge, not hold knowledge. Now, here's the difference. If you don't have this with you, you have no knowledge. If the battery runs out, you have no knowledge. Not everything on here is truthful knowledge. See, we can become leaders because of our knowledge and our experience. Quite frankly, when I talk to millennials or Gen Zs, I don't introduce myself as Scott. I introduce myself as external hard drive, which captures their interest and attention. What do you mean you're an external hard drive? Well, I've got knowledge, wisdom, expertise, and experience that I've gained over years being on this planet. But you know what? You've got the energy, the excitement, the enthusiasm, the drive that I'd love to have. You know what we could do? What if we came together and you utilize me as an external hard drive and I utilize you as the motor to make things happen? See, this is how you start to put these things together. You got to love thy neighbor as thyself, right? It's about loving everything that you've been through. There are no mistakes. Everything you've been through is exactly what you're supposed to have been through. Now, I did not say everything is easy or everything is nice. I did not say that. Trust me, I got plenty of stuff that's not fun or nice. But obviously, I've been trained up for a reason. So when somebody says, Scott, You were on the big stages. You wouldn't understand. No, I understand. See, your experience, your knowledge now gives you a level of empathy and compassion that very few people have. And that becomes your differentiator and your secret. But the reality is, you're not a prophet in your own hometown. Has anybody ever heard that or recognized that yourself? And so, one of the reasons we're talking about how do we put this all into the Great Discovery? Well, the Great Discovery becomes a platform for people to gain knowledge. Well, if you're in Kamloops, great place, got some great friends in Kamloops, Canada. But the fact is, not the biggest town in the world. How do you share this wisdom and live the life you want to live in Kamloops? You find a platform like the Great Discovery to be able to do this. See, Benjamin Franklin said it this way: if a man empties his purse into his head, no one can ever take it from them. Knowledge is an amazing thing. Once you have knowledge, nobody can ever take it from you. You can't unlearn anything, just like you can't unsee it, right? It's already there. So why is the Great Discovery such a great platform? Because it's a worldwide platform that allows you to expand your reach. If you've got these experiences, you've got this time invested in a thing called your life. You've got your expertise, your experience, your wisdom, the knowledge that you've gained, the desire of your heart to share that. Wouldn't you want to share it as broad and wide as you possibly can? Or at least look at it for consideration. And that's what this is about, is to look at it for consideration. So quite frankly, when the Great Discovery came to me and said, would you like to expand your reach? That's a simple, heck yeah. Are you kidding me? I'd love to expand my reach. I would love to share the lessons. Experience is a great teacher. It's just a very expensive teacher. Well, what if you could use that experience to serve other people and monetize it? Wouldn't that be a cool opportunity? I would think so. So I immediately talked to the founders of the Great Discovery, and I really started to understand their plan and their desire. Their plan is simple: to share knowledge around the world that the world needs. It's a pretty simple plan, but there really hadn't been a platform that was able to do that. There were a lot of good platforms, but they were kind of in English only, or, a lot of different things that would limit them. Well, the Great Discovery is truly a global platform. And the coolest part is you can pick your passion. So you see, I want to learn, I want to teach, I want to advance, I want to get paid. That's the homepage for my site. You see Schilling Sales and Marketing, Scott at scottschilling.com. I still don't hide well, right? This stuff is all there. So let's take a look at it real quick. So I want to pick one of those. Let's take a look at them one at a time. I want to learn, I want to teach, I want to advance, I want to get paid. What does it mean? Well, I want to learn. Literally anybody can go to the Great Discovery, and there are a plethora of free courses. There are free courses on birthing babies. I've got a free course called Words of Encouragement. I'll show you here in just a little bit. There are free courses across, I don't know, close to 100 categories. Absolutely free. So if you're sitting there saying, I got to join something, no, not necessarily, if that's something of interest to you. Well, if you want to learn consistently, you may choose the Genius Club. The Genius Club is $47 a month, and it gives you the opportunity to then get a higher level of courses, right? There are freemiums. There are course creators that do free topics. And then there's the next level that goes into the Genius Club. Now, these are maybe a little more detailed programs. And it's part of the Genius Club. So there's a whole plethora of Genius Club courses. Then there are premium courses. I mean, I've got a $197 premium course in there. I've got a $497 course in there. Okay, they're premium. They're not in the Genius Club. They're not in the $47 a month membership, but they're available for purchase. Notice the 197. See, then I start to get paid. So now this is a monetization of my existing work. And then there's Academy. An Academy is a higher level course. I've got a $3,000 course in the Academy. So I've got free courses. Actually, I think I got 4 free courses. I've got a few Genius Club courses. I got a couple premium courses, and I got an Academy course. So if you want to become a learner as a content creator, I've created offers in each of the categories. As a learner, you can choose to learn, take all the free stuff you want, do as much as you want for $47 a month, or pick and choose to get something more. If, again, this is on your choice to do that. So what's your next passion? I want to teach. Well, I want to teach. I'm a content creator. Susan just said it. We could literally, if we wanted to, take this recording from the Grand Connection, put it into the Grand Connection's Great Discovery, and now make it available based on where they want to make it available. Because this is content that's being recorded here. Now, as a content provider, okay, I pay one fee. I paid one fee to be able to post unlimited courses. Unlimited. As many as I want. For an extended period of time, called forever. That's a long time. So I chose to be a content creator. Why? Because I create content. This is what I do. I either do online presentations, live presentations. I did a TV show on Tuesday. I'll take that 18-minute TV show and put it on there. So that's cool. So now as a content creator, I can put those unlimited courses on there, which is a wonderful thing as an example for the Grand Connection. But what you do now is have worldwide distribution. What does that mean? This is a platform on the internet that gets shared around the world. I have people that I have put into the business in New Zealand, in Ireland. You start to understand, right? More places than here. Canada, the United States, Mexico. There are content creators and there's content available around the world. And then the other thing you get is you get access to all the affiliates, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But basically, you pick up a worldwide sales force for your content. That's right. I don't have to, I mean, Alan Stevens is wonderful, but he's 16 hours ahead of me. I hope tomorrow turns out as good here as it has there, right? The fact is, you pick up a worldwide sales force that now could sell my content in Australia or in New Zealand or name a place, because you now have the ability to expand your reach. So if that's of interest to you, that's available. And again, I'll talk to you more about it, or I can put you with other folks as well. Then, one of the things that's just been added or recently added is when you become a Genius member, we want you to advance. There's 24 AI-powered apps, and they come across 4 different categories to help you create and innovate, to create content, to enhance your engagement or build engagement for you, automated systems, to automate and optimize everything from outbound messaging to optimizing people seeing your stuff, to connecting and growing. So again, With your $47 a month, you get these 24 AI powered apps. So if you just wanted the education for $47 a month in Genius Club, that'd be great. But if you just wanted the AI apps for 47 bucks a month, it's a pretty darn good deal there too. And then you can become an affiliate. Now, as a content creator, I am automatically an affiliate as well. So I can sell my own stuff, but I can sell my friends' stuff. So now we create relationships, collaborations. Mine, a lot is sales. It's communications. It's creating relationships. Got other people that are very tactical marketing people. Now I've got some marketing stuff, but that's not my wheelhouse. But I've got friends who are amazing in that lane. There's some that are amazing podcasters, and that's all they do. And so they have podcasting courses. Well, I don't have a podcasting course, but could I make money selling a podcasting course? Potentially. So now it gives me more arrows in my quiver. If I'm talking to somebody and my stuff is sales and they feel they don't need a sales product or lesson, they can get somebody else's marketing or podcasting. And I still monetize that relationship. Share what you love and get paid. So you can be an affiliate alone if you want to. You don't have to be a course creator. This is a side gig. We live in the gig economy. You're looking at a multi-million-dollar website that you didn't pay for. You're looking at content, thousands of lessons that you didn't create, that you can now represent, and you didn't do any of it, but you get paid on it. You understand? This is a side gig. We live in the gig economy. You don't have to drive an Uber or a Lyft for your side gig. You can sell education. So if that's more in your line, you're already working maybe with some nonprofits or some people who are working with schools, now you have the opportunity to monetize that relationship appropriately. And then one of the things that I love, and humor me with this is about a minute and a half, but you'll understand after probably about a minute. Hi, my name is Scott Schilling, and for many years I've been blessed to be an international speaker, trainer, coach, author, and consultant. Now, during my career, I've presented at over 3,000 live events, sharing the stage with the best of the best in human development, leadership, finance, the internet, and more. I'm excited to be involved with the Great Discovery, and the reasons are simple. I get to utilize the talents and capabilities God has granted me to share the wisdom and knowledge I've gained throughout the years of being mentored by many of those best of the best, and also share the lessons learned and, more importantly, the solutions I developed to some of life's greatest challenges. Not only that, I get to share those experiences around the world in languages I've never learned because the system translates the messages for those who need to hear them. Let's do our part and leave it all on the field by sharing what we've learned and helping those who want to learn and share as well. Let's positively impact the world together.
こんにちは。私の名前はスコット・シリングです。国際的なスピーカー、トレーナー。3000のライブイベントで講演し、Hola, mi nombre es Scott Schilling. He sido bendecido por años como un orador, entrenador, coach, autor y consultor internacional. Ahora he presentado en más de 3,000 eventos en vivo. 你好，我叫斯科特·希林。多年来，我很幸运成为国际演讲者、培训师、教练、作家和顾问。我在超过3000场现场活动中。Hola, mi nombre es Scott Schilling. Muchos años bendecido por ser orador, entrenador, coach, autor y consultor internacional. Ahora, durante mi carrera, he presentado en más. 안녕하세요. 제 이름은 스콧 쉴링입니다. 저는 국제 연사, 트레이너, 코치. 지금까지 제 경력, 저는 3선의 라이브 이벤트.
I just think it's absolutely hilarious. And I'll give you a way that I used that particular video. I posted it on LinkedIn and I said, I can train your organization in 147 languages. Don't believe me? Test me on it. And you can't believe the responses I got that said, when did you learn all these languages? And when I didn't learn any of them. I got a hard enough time with English. I mean, the reality is the lessons can be converted into 147 different languages. So again, now all of a sudden I've got sales teams and people around the world in places I've never been, in languages that I can't speak, potentially able to take advantage of my trainings because of the translations that are available. I just think it's fabulous to do this. So, how do you earn as you learn? You become a product of the product. You actually start to use. Again, you can go, I'll give you a link here in a little bit. It's the Grand Connections link. You can go ahead and check this out and just check the free product out. You could attend corporate calls if you wanted. You can learn more about all this to kind of get a feel for it all. Just some absolutely amazing. Uh, Tim Taylor and Sandra Harry, the co-founders, are just amazing people. They're just really wonderful people. You can create your daily success habits with this. And that's one of the things that I've trained on at the Great Discovery multiple times is create a daily success habit. So how would you do it? Well, you would watch something, you would post it automatically. I'll show you that here in a second, and then do a review to say, hey, this was really valuable content. You should check it out too. So, as an example, this is one of my free courses called Words of Encouragement. Now, what do you think it does? It's words of encouragement. It's 12 minutes and 38 seconds of a milling exercise that we did at a Jack Canfield event. The idea was take half the room and have them stand straight up with their eyes closed and have somebody walk up to them and whisper in their ear ultimately what they wanted to hear from a loved one or from a coach or a mentor or somebody they highly respected. In other words, everybody shared the message that they wanted to hear from their highly respected person into the other person's ear. Well, what I did is I set up a microphone, and as if they were whispering it into somebody's ear, they whispered it into the microphone. I recorded it, transcribed it, so it's both the recording and the transcriptions. But it's 12 and a half minutes of people saying amazing things like, you're the best son a parent could ever have. You're the most powerful speaker I've ever heard. You know, you've went through some hard times, but I always knew you were going to make it. Just things like that. I mean, they're so amazing. And it's 12 minutes and 38 seconds of that. If that doesn't float your boat, I'm not sure what does. And it's free. You can go there right now and look up Words of Encouragement, and you could listen to it on the Great Discovery. Well, here's the other thing that's cool. When you go there, this is what it would look like. Words of Encouragement by Scott Schilling. It's me. It says click here to have access. Pretty easy so far, isn't it? Well, here's the cool thing is the Great Discovery actually puts a link copy button, a Facebook button, a, a Twitter or X button, and a LinkedIn button below each lesson. And so literally, when I hit the copy link button, it gave me the link, thegreatdiscovery.com/academy/course Words of Encouragement by Scott Schilling. And now I could literally say, hey, you know what? I listened to this course on the Great Discovery today, and it made me think of you. I don't know that you need this, but it just seemed like I was supposed to reach out. Now you provide them value of a free lesson. They just click the link, and all of a sudden they can now listen to that. How cool is that, right? And so you copy the link, you can do it that way, or you hit the Facebook, it'll put it on your Facebook. Hey, I just listened to this and it was pretty powerful. You might want to catch it. You're providing value. It has cost you absolutely nothing to do this, okay? Or X or LinkedIn. Now, what's cool about this is, let's say that you were a member of the Great Discovery. Somebody now clicks on that because it's coming from your website. That lead comes back to you. So this is literally telling you people who want to hear you or things like what you share. In other words, it becomes a lead magnet. So not only is it providing good to the marketplace, providing the knowledge and doing things like that, it actually becomes a lead magnet. So now for me, I can now go, oh, okay, this person liked my free words of encouragement. Maybe they'll like my genius course, 7 Steps to Heart-Centered Selling, or maybe they'll like my premium course, Empower Your Presentations, or my Academy course. So now I can say, hey, thanks for listening to this. Here is my next level course. This now becomes a point of distribution. It becomes an opportunity. And so the reality is you can nurture those leads. These become your leads. They're in your system so that you can do this. Why are we talking about any of this? I know that you're here because you want to serve more people. You want to do what you can through collaboration to meet good quality people like mine, like Hart, that have a desire to serve people, but also be able to monetize that service appropriately. It's a great way to do that. So as an example, oops, wait a second, one too many, too fast. You could come to thegreatdiscovery.com / the queen bee herself, right? Susan. And that is her site. And so if you want to just go there and hit the courses, and you can literally pick free, and you can look at all the categories and you can do this. It's just a way to serve you. My encouragement is at the very least you go to thegreatdiscovery.com / Susan's name and in fact check it out. And now it's time for the Great Discovery Mouse. Sometimes you just have to go for it. Abraham Lincoln said, always bear in mind your own resolution to succeed is more important than any one thing. Henry Ford said, think you can, think you can't. You're right either way. See, you've got the opportunity to take your genius and share it around the world if that is your desire. My encouragement to you is take a look. Only you will know. I don't know if it's right for you, but then again, you don't know that it is or not until you go look at it. So again, I would go there. It's thegreatdiscovery.com, Susan's name. And one last time with Zig, as we summed up our lunch that day, he leaned in, he said, Scott, can I share something with you before we go? And I said, absolutely, Zig. He said, if you're ever discouraged or lack the encouragement you need, always remember, at least at one point, even Moses was a basket case. I said, Zig, you still got it. He said, I always will. See, we've been put on this earth to positively impact lives. You being here today helps me accomplish that on my side. If I can ever help you accomplish it on your side, let me know. Scott at scottschilling.com. And with that, we'll come back to Susan and the gang and take any questions or be of service any way we can.
Hey, thank you, Scott. That was a very good representation of what the Great Discovery does for you, because